Welcome to the RGB Meltdown project, a texture and light motion experiment to explore the illusion of motion in texture through changes in the color of the light sources. The goal is to set up a proof of concept of this motion effect, and to test and observe it under different setup parameters. Quick warning, the entire video contains flashing lights which may not be suitable for people with photosensitive epilepsy. Viewer discretion is advised. We begin with real footage. We take a simple, colorful LED and let it cycle through a lot of colors. We then take this colorful LED light and place it into a simple scene made out of red, green, and blue textures together with a bit of white paper. Shining the cycling colors onto the scene has a very interesting effect. The brightnesses of the differently colored textures change drastically depending on the color of the light. Let's look at the texture and light interactions in a simulated setup. At the top, we see a strip of a colored RGB texture with hard transitions. Below, we can see another strip showing the colors of the light, where a marker indicates what the current light color is. At the bottom, we can see the resulting visual color of the texture under the current light. The speed of the color change is slowly increased over time, and the same setup using a hue color light cycle in the HSV model is shown as well. Here we see various texture and light interactions in a grid. RGB hard does discontinuous color jumps, while RGB soft makes linear transitions between the RGB states. HSV is a hue loop in the HSV model. RGB soft is a bit darker than HSV. I could have also studied cyan, magenta, and yellow setups, but I realized that too late and was too lazy to add those into the list of experiments. Time for a more elaborate experiment setup. Because I am too lazy to paint the walls in my room, I settled down to model a demo scene inside of a VFX software called Houdini. Here, I can control the color of the textures and the light sources and render the result into a video. A camera is set up to fly through the scene. The first output video shown here is produced under static white light in order to observe the textures. This is what the test rooms look like under normal light conditions. We also cycle between the three color stripe textures that were presented before. Now the time has come for the RGB Meltdown experiment. We now fly through the same scene while cycling through the light colors in various patterns. We begin with the hard RGB transitions. A short side remark on the problem with luminance. The human eye does not perceive all color with the same brightness. For instance, green light appears brighter than blue at the same physical intensity. To compensate for this, the light intensity in the scene is divided by the luminance value of the light color in use. This is not a perfect solution, but it helps to equalize the brightnesses a bit. At last, we display all the scenes with different textures and light settings. I can't decide which combination is intrinsically better to create a motion effect. A major problem was that I could not really eliminate the brightness jumps between different colors. Further experiments are needed to determine better setups. It would be interesting to study how adjusting the frequency of the texture periods and light cycles affects the motion. One can also dive deeper into color theory in order to study how the brightness levels can be further normalized to have smoother transitions. I leave this for future work or for anyone else to pick up. If you have seen other projects using this effect, please comment on it here so I can place a link to it in this video's description.